looking at what's possible when we're doing our soul transformation, are able to sit and just be with ourselves, really. So my journey of this, my intuitive teachings, I'm known as spiritual teacher, mentor, visionary, just because that's kind of my path as to how I see and work. And you know, I think there's a journey that lots of people go through with their meditation, and maybe sharing a bit of that can help bring that to some kind of clarity. Because, you know, the main thing I do is working with ascension and helping people through that transformation of who maybe they once were to who they're becoming. And in all my years of teachings, the key will always be meditation. And whilst we know how important that is, sometimes we can forget what that journey is. And there's different aspects to what people think or feel meditation even means. So as you said, just to say, so I've been running my own holistic and spiritual centre since 2004, so quite some time. Spiritual retreats worldwide, and working a lot in India for about 20 years, and I did retreats from 2011. So obviously they have changed in how the world has worked, but the beauty of that is actually working in some of these amazing portals and delivering lots of courses and teachings, and even Glastonbury and places like that. It allows us with our meditation to understand that we are literally where we are. I remember lots of lovely sayings of people in India, like, you know, us traveling all these places and actually everything is within, which we know, but we just need to know how to access that. So it's almost irrelevant of where we travel, where we are, what we do. We need to really learn how to bring these ancient techniques and new vibration to ourselves. So for me, I've invested a lot in my own journey, often at really difficult times. So that's why I'm passionate about teaching. I'm an executive training provider with IPM, and I'm really passionate about helping empower others. So I don't do classes of meditation and things anymore. I deliver the courses, if there's a better word, either in my physical academy here or my online professional school, so that you're empowered to do it yourself. And that's really much about shifting from old vibration, people reliant on you, to new vibration, empowering others. So, and I'm sure we're all resonating with that energy even more now. So I just wanted to say, like, you know, some of my little brief journey of meditation, not so much to share about me, but I know that lots of you will resonate with maybe where you are on that path. So if I look back to the days where maybe as a Eastern Western Reiki master, and I'd be delivering some meditation, visualization, you start to use that in your treatments. Some of you might not, you know, be therapists or practitioners, healers or teachers. I understand that, but I'm just giving you that kind of example of where you can start to bring that visualization in. So you might be either the client going to enjoy treatments from others and you start to hear about meditation and visualization or being guided, or you could be the person that starts to do that. And whichever journey you take, you then start to move forward. So I then started to move forward to do proper groups of meditation and teaching, which would be more channeled sessions. And again, really at that time, brilliant in the frequency of the energy, but really guided. And so what we learn to do from that is shift that what is still really external. So whilst guided meditation, mindfulness meditation are all brilliant relaxation tools, they are still quite external. So that's what I mean by bringing us to that internal journey and using some of the ancient techniques into the new vibration. And by moving into new vibration is the better terminology from when I'm working with Ascension is about stepping into being. So that meditative state as much of your day as you possibly can. And I'll come on to that. So I then went and shifted into the ancient techniques. So very lucky in my life to have lived in India so much, and took myself on my next journey of investment, and I did 200 hours in the Himalayas, and, you know, lots of my life has been there. So absorbing myself in those cultures has allowed me, I suppose, as my teaching space, to pull that ancient wisdom and use those teachings, but also understanding the new vibration. A lot of the more ritualistic aspects of that is just not relevant in bringing us into the balance of the new vibration. So that at that point, maybe my lessons and classes would have shifted, and then I shifted into new vibration, where that means just allowing yourself to be in that place of being as much as you possibly can. And I channeled a high dimension meditation method. I'm not here to specifically talk about that, but that is really taking you beyond. So it is a bit of a myth, really, where people think, oh, I'm only a beginner, I've got to start at guided meditation. Yeah, if you've got a busy mind, you want to bring any tools in that you can to allow you to quieten your mind, but there is no reason why you can't come straight in to that state of being, because what we're finding at the moment is everybody's soul is calling for that peace, for that quiet, to stop what we call chitta in the busy mind. And so that aspect of my journey, you can probably relate to at some point where you are, because some people are just trying to combat the busy mind every day and reduce stress and anxiety. Other people have been doing guided meditation for a long time, and it's just not doing anything for you, but it's just too external. And how do you move into going to really what you want to achieve is nothingness, which doesn't sound that great for people that are looking to come and join you, but that's the ultimate, isn't it, is going to that nothingness. So now I'm just really passionate about teaching and empowering other people how to hold space, how to teach, looking at setting up their own physical businesses, their online businesses, and bringing together all of these techniques and this being, which really is just so simple. It's just the fact of society is designed to keep us busy, and we need to just try to combat that and bring it how to shift ourselves into this new vibration. So by new vibration, there's lots of these words that are bounded around. It is, as I say, about being, but we do receive how we work a lot more differently. And I know that because I've taught meditation in both. I've taught circles, intuitive tarot, mediumship, whatever that is, for those years. And it's just when we're working in this frequency, it's literally just stepping away from all of those labels and just being confident enough to do that as well, and takes you to that next level of trust, of being. Everything is much more direct, and I know so many of you will have been feeling it. And I get people come to me for after 25, 35 years saying everything feels much more different for them, and that is why. And I'm sharing this with you, and sometimes you have to listen to this a couple of times to absorb what that is, because depending where you're at with your meditation, you might be sitting on the, sitting in a position and really battling at trying to just create some kind of quiet and peace, or you might be at the level where you've got to that real beauty of nothingness and ascension. But now what do you do with that, and where do you go with that? So that's why this is really, I work with people that are completely beginners, more advanced, and teacher training. And the whole thing here is that you feel empowered, whatever your journey is, your key ascension, your key core to your consciousness. And, because without that, we can't fulfill our potential. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because we have to have that inner being and inner knowing. And, that comes from meditation, is a channeling of consciousness. So there's, whether people want to come in and do beginners, and whether people want to go to 100 hours, or whether people want to take just some techniques a day, if you could just take something that will help you to feel a little bit inspired to reach in your day, in your life, enough of this peace and calm, then just maybe you'll be able to do the ultimate goal with the transformation of this, is to create conscious change in your life. The biggest thing that people have to know when we're looking at the ancient techniques, and what do I mean by ancient techniques? And there's many courses I notice now around the world that are delivering breath work, pranayama work, and which pranayama is an advanced technique actually, but it's about not just focusing on one aspect. We have to encompass everything. So what I mean by ancient techniques is, so we would look at the breath, we'd be looking at the mudras, which is the gestures. Mudra is known as a gesture or an attitude, if you like. So that's when you're using different hand mudras, and that allows the circuit and the flow of the energy. And all these things are used, and we really have to look at not just, oh, let's bring in a mudra, let's bring in some pranayama, but how does it all fit together, and how do we balance our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual? And we can move to mantra, which allows us to bring in that aspect of focus to combat that chitta known as the busyness, the mind. That chitta in the Western world is unbearable for an awful lot of people. And when we can use all of these ancient techniques, we get to that place of we're not being guided, we're not going anywhere. You're empowered to know, this is what's breaking my meditation. This is the tool I need to help me to come back. This is how I need to go a little bit deeper. And so all of these methods together are tools in your box that become a way of life. But anybody that is experiencing meditation at the moment in this frequency, they're going to find that their own meditation on their own can become a little bit harder sometimes, because we're in such a collective vibration. So that intention of collective vibration for the good of all, world peace and all the rest of it is incredibly powerful. So these ancient techniques will allow us to come to that place of being, that place of nothingness, that way of changing our lifestyle, because that's the other aspect that I teach. We can't expect, I remember all those years ago, doing meditation classes, which were guided meditation, and people running to the door late from somewhere, come in, sit down, quiet, go into an amazing space for an hour, and then close the door, out they go and run off into life again. And what I'm trying to bring to this moment for people to consider is, we have to step totally away from that, and our whole lifestyle has to change. So we have to choose the different ways of going forward, and we have to make these soul choices. And so that's looking at our whole lifestyle and making those choices, which is why everybody going through this rapid attention now, which has been incredibly fast since 2012, is bringing us to that point where we're shifting away from people and things, situations and behaviors that no longer serve us. So the meditation is the key to all of that. If we can bring all those elements, and that you are naturally learning to balance your mental, emotional, physical and spiritual through these tools, you are then ready in that place. And when we're in that place, we then shift that more to the new vibration of being, which is where the high dimension meditation would come in. But let's use it in this aspect of just meditation. It doesn't really have a name, to be honest. Meditation is the most earthly name that we can have, but that state of being in that consciousness. And to start with, people would say, oh, that's okay, but I can't do that when I'm driving or doing other things. But the point is, when we reach such a level of this awareness, this consciousness, we're able to go through life and the eye of the storm, the calm of the storm, if you like, and we're able to still have all these challenges that come at us and still go through the navigation, because they're our greatest lesson, aren't they? They're our ascension. But these meditation tools and then stepping into being allows us to embody that being, if you like, a lot more of our day. So the using our breath and awareness to shift into that state, if you like, as much as you possibly can in your day. And that requires huge life changes. That requires really the state of being, the state of choosing to do that. It's not just going to come out of the thin air. We have to do it. And a lot of people, so questions that would come to me is, I haven't got the time, the space, the location. All of these come up as I like to call excuses, but we need to step back into that. And the ultimate reason we do that is because we're simply not choosing ourselves. It's very, very simple, to be honest, but it's not wrapped up in that. There's lots of other reasons that we will struggle with it. And I take amazing souls to the meditation teacher training. The ethos of that is become what you teach. And yet down the line, they can also come back and struggling. We all have to work at this day in, day out. We all have to navigate our own consciousness and life and everything that's there. And when we look at it, a lot of the yogis in the Himalayas have got, there's lots of people admire their hardship to denounce everything and go out into the mountains. And actually, on another level, we could look at how we are trying to achieve this, living in this Western world, this busyness. And so we have to give ourselves credit for that. We have to know that here we are literally, aligning and showing that kind of pathway to help that creative change take place. So we have to choose that. And then the ancient tools will come in. You could also, it's up to you whether you choose your sacred space, but you must cleanse your space. But really, you can meditate on a motorway, to be honest. Working in India, the one thing everybody doesn't always realize is it's a very noisy place. And, once you shift your consciousness, there is nothing that can take that away. So when we look at these techniques, we can look at the breath. So that's even bringing yourself immediately into, the 3 deep breaths. So you can use that for many things. If you're in shock or trauma or anything that's going on, that if you do 3 very deep breaths, it brings you back to that state of awareness. And then we can work on different breath techniques. You can work on natural breathing. You can work on diaphragmatic breathing. And then you can go into pranayama. And the same as what I said, the hand gestures, the mudras. There's a lot now in the West where people are sat there with all these different mudras, not understanding that actually, really, if we take some of the ancient wisdom, it's not really the thing to do to start with. If you're a beginner, let go of that. It doesn't matter how you look like, what you're doing. You haven't got to sit in lotus position. But if you think about it, to start with, we have to shift everything out of our consciousness. All of the text of Sanskrit is remove gross blockages. Okay, and when we look at that, that means the physical, the real 3D aspects. We've got to clear a lot of that out of us. So we don't want to be causing a circuit of energy with all of that still around our energy field. And so lots of this wisdom allows you to really empower your own practice really quite quickly, and it becomes a way of life. The yogic lifestyle, really for me, again, working with lots of people that are on 300-500 hour courses of yoga, many of them that I've seen in different aspects of India still don't want to, or for the better word, say they can't sit in silence. And we have to understand that this movement, this asana, if you like, of the yogic practice, is to take us to a place to be able to sit in meditation. It's all our journey within. And so really looking at all of that knowledge and wisdom, we're able to shift into this frequency. Shifting frequency, it doesn't mean what's going on in the world and you're aware of ascension and awakening and all those steps. It's more about how we're receiving, how we're being, how our whole energy field has changed for us to adapt to that frequency. And so that's something that we all have to work on continually, I would say. So whether you're a beginner, advanced, or looking at teacher training or 100 hours or whatever it is, all those aspects really, for my own personal journey, is I've done each of those aspects because it's for me to change my life, my situations, my teachings, and that's why I'm passionate about everybody to invest in themselves, to be able to share that space. So all of my energy now is to help other people, hold space for other people. And when we all start to look at that and we take control, we're letting go of the old paradigm where we want a doctor to fix us or a meditation teacher to take us to that place or whatever it might be. And so I hope that that then can empower people to move forward. When I said about the soul transformation, that's what I put in the little blurb. Everything is possible when we choose ourselves, when we make the choice to meditate, change our life focus. But if we don't change everything around that externally, we can't expect to come back just to get those results. So it is really about once you choose to do that, yourself and everyone around you naturally will shift and change as well. You haven't got to go out and buy the most expensive of everything or have the most extreme place. It's achievable wherever you are in the world and whatever your circumstances, situation. And so that's also really empowering. My cooked points to say to you would be, wherever you go to choose these depths of meditation, like Reiki or anything else, choose through the energy of who empowers you, who inspires you, where you want to go, who you want to be, how you want to create that conscious change. And that's really important. Be aware of this voice that comes in, this self-doubt, this ego, this mind, this cheater that you can't do it. Always takes me back to that amazing moment in Eat, Pray, Love of Julia Roberts, if you've all watched that, where she's in the ashram and she's meditating and she thinks she's been there for ages and the clock's just done 1 minute and she just literally collapses down in exasperation. We've all been there. We have to just come through that barrier. And the beauty of this is once you start to change that attitude, that gesture, that being, it becomes part of your life. It becomes who you are. It's not, I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes or an hour a day. It's about shifting that frequency and that awareness. And that's where massive, massive change comes. Break everything down to what's achievable. And, because this external world is designed to keep us busy. And really that word, I've always, with my foundation course, you can get that on my website. Actually, I didn't mention that at the beginning. It's traceecullen.com. The foundation course allows you to go in with all of those techniques and look at it and break it down and look at what even is the word busy, and looking at the cheetah. So all really achievable, and it's so empowering. And if any of my courses I teach online, it's so that you can just go back and again and have lots of support. It's it's that journey that you need to be empowered, and then that just becomes, and then you can share meditation with others. You can go to enjoy other classes and share that collective vibration. But the point is, you're not reliant on anyone. You're empowering yourself to use these techniques, but importantly, bring that high dimension to element and the ancient techniques together so that you can achieve that space, that inner work. And you need to do that deep, intense work. Everybody has to now. We are all responsible for our own ascension. And my words that lots of my students will be hearing all the time is we have to actively participate. We have to choose this to allow ourselves to go on this deeper journey inward. Siobhan, was there any questions that you had or anyone else?
What an amazing story and what an amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, there's a lot in there, and there's a lot of techniques, but in half an hour I don't want to be overpowering. I could give you some of the more of the techniques, but I just, if there's anything anyone has got or you've got any questions, or I'll be guided by you.
Has anyone got any questions? If you did have a question, if you want to unmute yourself, or you can pop the question in the chat, that would be great. My question is, I know that you mentioned about guided meditations and obviously that people can just go straight in. Is there a path that you'd recommend trying? Like, do you think that people become too reliant on guided meditations, or do you think they are helpful?
I think they're absolutely brilliant in the context, like I was trying to explain on my journey of where we were. The difference is, Siobhan, now is what a lot of, you know, spiritual teachers, people need to understand is that long journey that maybe I've done, not everybody else has got to do. Okay, so people will say, well, I used to start at there and I had to start for that reason. And so I would say that the guided meditation for relaxation, going to sleep, taking people away from busyness is always good, the same as mindfulness. The path in for me is my foundation course, which I do online. So that takes them through the 5 steps of meditation. It takes them through the very basic tools, but also it takes them into pranayama, which is an advanced technique. So it's really kind of bordering from all those lows, you know, that beginner even into advanced. And you know, that I've delivered all up and down the country, and you know, India, Greece, all over, and wherever I am with a fresh group of people. So bearing in mind I don't know them, I've had groups of 100 people before, so maybe 25%, 30% have never done meditation before, and taking them just into those few minutes, which I would have done today. I know last year we did an hour, didn't we? It's not enough to do, but you could take them straight into that, and you know, in just a couple of minutes, they're in that place that we describe as nothingness. Now, back when I started teaching back in 2008 and doing all the guided meditation, would have taken people a good hour to get to that point. So it's also about frequency. We're in a very different frequency now. But please, for anyone that teaches, part of you not shifting into the new vibration is because you're trying to teach a lot of the things that you had to go through. You know, I used to teach lots of spiritual circles. I teach my Awakened Inner Circle fortnightly online, and that's like a pot of gold to keep lots of people topped up and helping other people and teachers, practitioners, etc. But the old circle of the mediumship, the learning everything, it's all changed. So yeah, it's about frequency as well. I know it's quite a long answer, Siobhan, but I was just trying to explain it.
No, that was a great answer, thank you.
Else it's not very empowering, is it? If you feel like you've got this long journey, it just makes it sluggish and really long. Yeah.
It's exactly what Faith said. It's just about like taking the first step, and then the second step might actually be different to the one that you thought it was going to be.
Yes.
But, yeah.
And it's also owning your energy, isn't it? It's in feeling empowered. I mean, the whole point of this meditation and the techniques I'm talking about is we are absolutely amazing souls. We just are so disillusioned in the world not to understand how amazing we all are. Sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. And where can people find you then?
So Tracee is with 2 E's, so it's www.traceecullen.com. And yeah, there's meditation on there, and all my ascension and whatever, all my awakening group. Yeah. Thank you, Siobhan.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Tracee. Next up is Dr. Roxana, who what I'm going to do is unpin Tracee, and then Roxana can come up,